The trees are changing colors as the days get cooler, and while we are enjoying the beauty of nature, now is also the perfect time to maybe do a little fall tree care. Don Kinsler is here with NDSU. He's the extension agent, Cass County horticulturist. Thank you for coming in today.
Well, thank you for inviting me back in. And of course, the fall. Oftentimes when we think of fall, the mental picture that many of us get are the beautiful fall colors.
Yes.
And so it's fun. And fall colors are already happening. It's kind of fun to analyze what goes on with fall. Now, I collected these samples yesterday afternoon, so fall color is already happening. So it's kind of a fun science type thing to see, okay, what actually does happen, what triggers this? And trees are actually quite smart. Trees sense the shortening days, the shortening day length, and that indicates to a tree that it's time to start slowing down, shutting down in preparation for winter. So for example, this ash tree, the leaves, if you can see a little bit of green, mostly yellow, the tree is shutting down its photosynthesis because it knows winter coming. So it's shutting down the photosynthesis and the green chlorophyll starts to break down. And as that breaks down, it unmasks the yellow color. So yellows in trees tend to be quite the same each year because our day length is consistent in the fall as the days get shorter. So it's interesting. Certain types, such as this ash tree, as the chlorophyll disappears, it unmasks the yellow, and that's going to be quite consistent. So of course, it's always interesting. What did the heat and drought of this year?
Right.
So we'll talk about that in a minute. So anyway, the ash trees are already starting to develop their yellow, and as time goes on, they'll get even a little more golden color. So next, we have certain types of trees that have the inner chemistry makeup to develop some additional pigments, such as here. This is the famous autumn blaze maple.
I have those in my yard,
Yeah.
and I think because of what they look like in fall is why we picked them.
Exactly, and we could do a whole program on the trials and tribulations sometimes of autumn blaze maple. But when they do thrive and color up, they're beautiful. Now, maples and certain other species have the chemical ability to develop different pigments. And most of these are triggered by cool temperatures. So when the temperatures start getting cooler, the sugars and different pigments start building up in some of these species. So for example, an ash tree is never going to be red like this, but maples and other things do have that ability. So it's fun to analyze the different trees such as that and what causes that. Now, I mentioned cool temperatures.
Yes.
So that's a trigger. You know, oftentimes we've heard that apples can become sweeter in cool temperatures. Carrots you leave in the ground because
Right.
The cool temperatures will make carrots sweeter. So the red pigments are triggered by cool temperatures.
Oh, okay.
And now we've got cool temperatures,
Yep.
so things are starting to color up. Now, the effects of the heat and drought this year, you know, a little bit of stress can bring on some fall colors, but that's a little bit of stress. You know, this year we just had so much heat, so much drought, and so generally fall colors probably aren't going to be quite as pronounced and maybe even are delayed a little bit.
Really? Okay.
Now, because just trees were under such stress. Other types of trees that I collected from yesterday. This is a beautiful tree called the Amur maple, A-M-U-R, Amur maple, which is a small scale tree. And these are trees and shrubs that we can plant in our yard. So Amur maple, a beautiful one. Now sometimes we think about trees in fall color, but notice this beauty.
That is beautiful.
This is a shrub, barberry shrub, and grows 3-4 feet tall. Some are shorter, but look at the intense colors. So wouldn't this be fun in
Rich
your
color,
landscape?
yes.
Barberry. And even the red twig dogwood, maybe not quite as intense, but it develops kind of a purplish color. So anyway, we lots of things happening with trees and shrubs, and this time of year it's very important to give some care to our trees
Right,
and
I was
shrubs
going to say, we
also.
love just to enjoy the change in the colors, but now once it gets a little bit cooler, this is time to maybe get out and do a little fall maintenance, right?
It is. You know, now very dry this year, the drought, the heat, and we've had some rains. The grass
Recently.
has greened up, but that has not been enough to recharge the subsoil moisture where the tree and shrub roots are. So very important now in September to begin soaking down the soil around our trees and shrubs to get some moisture down into the subsoil where the roots are. And when we say getting a good soaking down in, what does that mean? Maybe take the garden hose and not full bore, but maybe half strength, turn the garden hose on half strength and let it soak around a tree, especially those that are 10 years or less in age. So let the hose run maybe and around the drip line where the roots are, especially not just by the trunk, but around the drip line. And let that hose run for maybe 20 minutes or so to soak down and get a good soaking around. Very important in September now, and then again before freeze up also in October sometime.
Any trees or bushes that you should wrap, or you see different things like that happen this time of the year?
Yes. We're familiar with the white tree wraps. Sometimes they're black, but the tree wraps that a person puts on, and the reason for those is to protect from animals, deer, rabbits, but also to protect during winter from winter sun scald and other winter injuries. So it's recommended that you take those tree wraps off during the growing season, but then apply them now in the fall. So off during the growing season, back on in the fall. Especially important for trees that are 5 years or less planted.
Okay, Don Kinsler, wealth of information, and thank you for bringing in all the examples as well. Beautiful.
Well, it's fun, and even though it was a hot, dry summer, we've got fall color happening. It might not be quite as intense as some years, but there's still coloring going on.
Good stuff. All right, thank you so much. Stay with us. Coming up next, Jeff from The Cutting Edge is back to talk about his big diamond sale. Great stuff. Thank you.